Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDM, AM, Perry, Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Mother Georgia, she's back on live, the historic 980 WDDO. All of a sudden, let's go live into the studio with our host, Brenda Sutton.
Hello, 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 and happy Monday. I'm excited to be here and excited that you decided to join us today. You could have done anything else. I know it. It's Monday. It's time to eat. Some of y'all on the way home trying to get something to eat. But I'm just excited that you're here and that you decided to spend a little time with me. Emily is here. And hello, Henry, how are you? He's trying to get hooked on, bless his heart. Y'all know my husband is technologically challenged. Hello, Mr. Williams, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, sweetheart.
Oh, you're just so sweet. Just say sweetheart again, baby.
All right. Hey, Hen.
Hi, Emily.
How are you?
Is Deacon do wrong there today?
Not right now. I think he'll probably be here shortly.
Well,
I have to protect his honor when he's away.
He may be out of town still.
He may be out of town in Memphis because he's got that big show going on, and you know how important he is. And
right, yeah.
When he got that show, he's got that picture of their what's the show? Justice on Trial.
Justice on Trial. It's a play.
It's a play.
Yeah.
And so he's there, and I'm so glad that you decided to join us by way of Zoom. You're at home, right?
Yes, I am.
Well, I just appreciate it. Oh, he looks so nice.
Yeah, but he's so far away. It's like he's in the distance.
Oh, yes. It's because I'm not looking on my laptop, which is where the camera is. I'm looking at the monitor that I have, which is 32 inch. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we got it. You got to look at the laptop, sir.
Right.
Correct. Now you can see me better.
Yes.
Well, even if you got closer, but then I know you can't bring it real close because I understand. Because we have things bootleg at home.
Oh, it's okay. He figured it out. He worked it out.
We rigged it up.
Yeah. It's good to see you, Henry.
It's a pleasure. Pleasure's mine.
And Emily, you just real low down because I don't know why you late anyway. Why were you late?
Because I was actually outside having a conversation, and I was outside having a really, really important conversation with my brother, and I actually lost track of the time. And I looked up and I was like, oh shoot. It's literally 5:30, so I ran in here super quick. And, my brother lives, you guys that are listening don't know, I have a brother that lives in Houston, Texas, so I don't get to see him very often. So when we talk on the phone, it's like, trying to catch up and all of that stuff. My entire family is scattered, so.
Well, mine is somewhat scattered. Henry, yours down in Baker County, ain't it?
I know you're trying to say that mine are scattered too. They're just scatterbrained, but I thought I'd put that out there for you.
Oh, mine are scattered all over there in California. They're in Texas. I got some up in North Georgia. So I don't have anybody here in May. Well, my mother is here, but other than my mother, my entire family is far away.
Well, I'm just glad that you're here today. I'm really, really glad. And
can we talk about this new hairdo? Y'all, Brenda got out the car swinging her hair, and I said, "Oh, that Caucasian came out." Okay, I like it all. So
I'm not laughing at you, baby girl. I want to make that very clear. I'm laughing with.
You're laughing with me. I love it.
That's correct.
I found at S&S, our favorite place to eat.
And
so the guy says to us,
"There you go."
Oh,
pop.
No, that wasn't pop.
That pop.
Oh man,
y'all ain't got nothing else better to do.
Hurry up, pop, and get on the line.
Should have hit you.
So Pop is running late. We were trying to, defer today's topic because it definitely deals with him because the rest of us are married. And,
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Well, no, this is going to be a wide topic, a wide subject. So I'm glad to have two guys on. I'm glad to see Papa here, and I'm glad to have Henry here. So, it'll be the battle of the sexes.
What's up, Hen?
You all up in Tennessee.
Yeah, man, and we'll be in. We were in Chattanooga on Saturday, and then we did the show
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
Oh, we have a phone call.
Let's
Already?
answer the call.
Yeah, we have a phone call.
All right.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fabulous. And
what Mrs. Williams?
What would you like to talk about today?
What is your topic today?
Well,
we haven't said it yet.
But she want to know what it is. Is it should you live with someone before you get married?
And how does that contribute to long-term relationship?
Okay. It doesn't make it any different, I don't think. Because a long-lasting relationship is going to last whether you live together or not, if that's what it's supposed to be.
There you go.
There you go.
I have done it, so therefore I know.
You know about
Listen, I love it. Thank you so much, caller. Thank you so much for your call. That's it.
You are very welcome.
No, but
you know what though?
The caller knows about her situation. It is not a generality because of her experience.
It is. You know what? I lived with Henry before I married him.
Look, let's pose the question so that all of our listeners can understand what today's topic and the question is. So you want to give them the topic and the question again?
Give it to him again because you can do it clearer than I can.
Okay, so
she
today's
speaks so well.
That's right. She articulates the words so good.
Y'all so sick.
Stay focused, Emily.
I'm trying. These two are a handful. So today's topic is: should you live with your significant other before marriage, and does that attribute to a longer marriage, living with your partner before you say I do?
Right? Should you? And I wanted to pose that question because, and let me just put it out there: I lived with Henry before I got married.
But did y'all really live? I mean, y'all like visited, but y'all didn't actually reside and coincide full time.
Well, the most we could because he lived out of town. Ain't that right, hon?
Yeah, until you told me if I walk out that door, don't come back no more.
And that sounds about right.
This will be a day of truth.
I did. No, it was you.
I believe you, Henry. I believe you.
It was you that said if I put you out the door, that I better pack 2 bags, one for me and one for you. Ain't that's what you said?
I said it after getting married. Yes,
that's right.
So that song, baby, 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 don't leave me. Yeah, that's what Brenda was saying.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I brought that out because so many, and I know there's some people out there gonna pretend like I ain't never lived with nobody. I ain't never spent the night with nobody. I got some listeners out here with, the type of show this is. They gonna say they didn't do that. That's not true.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true.
Well, I heard the addendum of it was, does it contribute to a longer lasting relationship?
Right.
I say it probably contributes to a shorter relationship when you live with somebody, because you get to know all those things like you saw without the weave, and you saw without the makeup, and you saw without the bodysuit, the thing, what you call them?
Spank.
Yeah, all that. So
the
maybe,
Bajas.
yeah, that might have like stopped some relationships in their track. So it might not be a good idea to live with somebody first. Because some people think it is, but I say it could be the counter. It could say, you know what? If I didn't know all this, if I didn't know all that stuff, I probably would have married her.
Well,
but it's better to know that sooner rather than later, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, but once they sign them papers, it's hard. It's cheaper to keep her.
Okay, Linda Walker says old folks used to say, if you getting everything free, why marry?
If you get the cow for free, why
Who said that?
Miss Walker. Miss Walker out there said
Linda
that.
Thomas Walker.
Yeah.
Linda Thomas, you should call in and explain yourself.
Give her that number.
It is 478-250-1. Let me get like Emily. 478-250-1444.
But you know what? It's like,
But the only thing I would say to what Linda Walker is saying is, why would either partner be getting anything free?
Come on,
just because you're living together don't mean that you get anything. I wouldn't.
Okay.
Nothing is free. If that means they already don't bring anything to the table if they get it free.
Oh, watch it now.
Ooh.
I heard that.
Okay.
And on that note, let me give the number again.
That was Elizabeth call.
478-250-1444. So you guys call in.
That was Miss
Linda that
Walker
called. She was our
that had
first
called.
caller.
Okay, thank you, Linda. And you know what the issue is, and it's really interesting, I think. Thank you for your comment, because now I'm going to say I grew up, when I was a little girl, I grew up, you know, you're not supposed to live with people. And then I had this thing about being a good girl and a bad girl and all of that. And after I didn't live with my first husband, and it was disaster. Okay, disaster. Now, I lived a little bit with you, Mr. Hen. You know, I love you and everything. And it worked. So
why does it sound like you're trying to convince yourself?
I'm not trying to convince myself.
Okay.
He's just real sweet.
He is.
I'm just saying
He's the best.
that it makes a difference to me.
Don't leave her, please. Okay, go ahead.
But I'm just saying to you that I brought it out because I'm like, it's so many women out there, and I won't know about the men, but it's so many women confused about this particular topic right here. Should I live with someone? Because I don't think that they'll ever marry me, and it won't help the relationship anyway. And that's why they say no.
You know, I've always been an advocate. Even when we had the first show over, you know, downtown, I've always been an advocate. I think that you should definitely reside with your significant other before you get married. I think you learn so much. I think that there will be less divorces when people know what they're getting themselves into. I think that a lot of times people that don't do that try to hold to those, whatever those values are, because you have the right to your own moral values, but they often find themselves married to somebody, and after the first, 3 or 4 months, it's like, wow, I didn't know that about you, or I didn't know you were like this. I didn't know you weren't financially good with paying bills on time, or I didn't know you were dirty. I didn't know, whatever the case may be. And you find yourself like, I don't know if I want to spend the rest of my life with someone like this. So I think that living with them for at least 6 months, at the very least 6 months before you marry them, tells you a lot about who that person is, who are they when they get up in the morning, not so much how they look, if her weave is on or off, or her lashes fell on the pillow, but what kind of, are you a morning person? Because I'm a morning person. My husband is not. I literally get up in the morning singing, and he'd be like, oh. But I wouldn't have known that, before we got married, and that could cause an issue in some relationships. Like, who are you when you're happy? Who are you when you're sad? Who are you when you get off of work and come home in the evening? Like, those things are important to know about a person before you make that commitment to say, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with him or her. Those are important things.
Let me ask you this. It's just a question for you, Deacon, because I know you come from a biblical family.
Oh.
That's a setup if I ever heard one.
You know your dad had been a preacher. And
matter of fact, I just left the conversation about preachers' kids and how people don't really understand us, our vantage, because when we went to church, me and my brother, I remember clearly, me and my brother would be sitting there going, why is he talking to all these people in this church? Why is he only talking to us? Why is he looking at us the whole time? Dad, you can stop looking at us because we already heard the sermon all week when you were preparing it. And people don't really realize what we go through in the thought process that preachers' kids have when we're sitting up in there listening to our dads preach. And we're going, we all kind of, when you talk to other preachers' kids, we all kind of feel the same way, like, why is he just talking to us?
And the reason I brought that out, because, usually preachers' kids are bad. You know, they the ones who be living with doing everything.
I will tell you, preachers' kids are something else. My grandfather was a pastor, and all of my aunts and uncles are off the chain.
No, we're just under a microscope. But and we're people pay more attention to what we do because we are preachers' kids. But back to what Emily said, Emily, I think in a roundabout way, you made my same point that I was making about the weave and the stuff, because you said only by living with them will you find out that they don't clean up, they don't, are not timely about paying bills and all. It's the same thing I'm saying. You get a chance to be exposed to who they really are. And that's what you were saying. Like, if you hadn't been living with them, you would never have known that they don't take care of the responsibilities like you just named a moment ago. And I'm saying that's revelation about who they really are. And you wouldn't have known that unless you live with them. And that's just, same thing I'm saying about the weave and this and that. It's the same thing.
Right.
And I brought it up because so many people are confused. Now, it's the biblical part that messes them up, which, maybe the second half we'll talk about, what truly is marriage.
Right, that's scripture. But I will say this. In 2022, if you are still with a female and you don't know that hair that's hanging, dangling next to her behind is not hers, then shame on you.
No, some of them will not take it. See, there's one thing.
But as a dude, you should know that it's weave is what I'm saying.
Linda just says, my stepdad was a pastor. I lived with my husband from 18 years when she was 18 years old. And then we were married when she was 24. Linda Walker's still with Freddie. Okay, she's still with her husband. She lived together.
That's wonderful.
I didn't say living together was wrong or anything like that. Because that's not for me to decide.
She said her parents didn't like it. A lot of people don't like it. I brought it up because there's a lot of people are dealing with this same issue. How do you, number one, biblically, how do you reconcile with that particular situation, Mr. Williams? And then
and where's the scripture? I've asked this 1,000 times. Where is the scripture in the Bible or scriptures that support or even say that you are not supposed to live with a significant other before you marry? I want somebody to please point that scripture out to me or scriptures.
Well, it doesn't present it in those terms, but it talks about fornication, which is premarital sex. So you ain't finna live and sleep with somebody and you don't commit that fornication. So that's number one. So that's the way it presents it.
So do you all think that you cannot live with a person before marriage and not sleep with them?
Well,
do you think that in 2022? In this day and time, do you think that people can actually reside together before marriage and not sleep with each other?
I think women are so aggressive these days that it'll be very difficult to pull.
That'd be very difficult.
And by the way, and see, let me just go back and say this. See, I'm bringing this out again because now that other generation, what is it? The one, not the millennials, but the other one coming up, they have a whole different view on things. Gen Z, they're a mess now. So they're looking at things totally different, the fornication and such.
Because they haven't been taught anything.
Now, I'm going to say this again, for us that are out there, do I think that it makes for a better marriage or a better relationship? What I can say is I saw your faults and you saw mine right here. And, I throw my shoes all on the floor. I come home, I kick my shoes off, and that drives them crazy. And that may be a little thing, but that could be something that can break up a marriage. You get tired of stepping all over somebody's shoes.
So why is it that people get married? Do they get married then because they are in love with each other, or do they get married because they are compatible? Because I'm what do you call it when you clean up all the time? What do you call that?
OCD?
Yeah. Do I need to find another OCD person to marry? Or no, I'm just saying. Is that why people get married now? Because they're compatible? Is it not for love or is it for practicality? Why do people get married? Maybe that's a good question.
But there's us to take a virgin husband or wife. Come on, Linda. What, Linda? I don't even you put that one out there like that.
Compare them to no one else, but God desires for us to take virgin husband or wife. Okay.
That saves a lot of trouble if it can be that way.
If it can be that way.
Yeah, but the reality of the situation is that that's extremely uncommon.
It's extremely rare because we don't have a lot of people who have not engaged in some sort of sexual experience. And like I said, I'm bringing this out because so many people, I see so many divorces come across my desk. Now, y'all know I do. As a mediator, I see it all, I hear it all, and nothing that I haven't heard before. And especially from those that are preachers.
Well, the thing about it is you got to be honest with children anyway, because what I didn't know that was going on when I was a child is that sex was going on in the church.
Mm-hmm.
The kids would
live today.
What I mean? They found a way, inside, and of course most of the churches that I went to were out, in the country. So you had ways, but so stop pretending that it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. And stop pretending as though, and it is about self-control. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. And I don't believe that you should have gratuitous sexual experiences with anybody, meaning that you just do it just because that's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I wanted to put it out there because there are some that say, and it's some of these sick men out there that'll say, well, I think we need to live together first, but they have no intentions of being married. See? Mm-hmm. So my question to you, if you are going to live with somebody, you need to have an end game. Mm-hmm. You follow what I'm saying? Like, why you doing it?
Mm-hmm. And I agree with you about those sick men, too, Brenda. And then on the flip side, there are some sick women out there who need their bills paid at the time, or they don't pay bills at the time. Yeah. So they agree to live with a man, although they didn't really want to live with him. But they said, well, I won't have to pay insurance right now. I won't have to pay a house note or rent right now. So I can save, I can stack up. Mm-hmm. And then that day comes when I tell her, you know what, I don't think this is going to work out. And then now she's got all the money from all her paychecks for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I know somebody personally that actually did that. And she stayed with a guy, total, they were together for 11 years, never got married. They lived together for about 7 of those 11 years, never got married. And she didn't have to pay any bills in the house other than the internet or the cable bill. Mm-hmm. And she didn't have a car note or anything like that. And so when she got fed up, she was like, boom, done. I'm getting ready to go buy me a house. And she actually went out and bought herself a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bath home and moved out and left him there. And I said, well, you're not going to let him come with you? She was like, no, not until he marries me. And I was like, but you just lived with him for 7 years, rent free and all of that without him marrying you. And now you don't want to. So I these women are just as bad as the men.
Well, it's a lot of them that don't want, and there are some people who don't want to get married, and I got that. But I'm like, if you are going to do those things, like I said, you need to have an end game. You need to know whatever it is that you're going to do. If you're going to live with somebody, it seems to me you ought to want to say, okay, put some type of time limits, like dating and living together for years with no intention. There's some men out there, when somebody tell me they've been dating somebody like 10 years, I'm like, what, you dating somebody for 10 years?
Yeah, how do you date somebody for 10 years? Like, what is that? That's just weird to me. I have another a close couple that I know of that stayed together for 24 years before they got married.
Oh, somewhere like a Reverend Noah Jones.
Years.
Noah Jones.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, the only thing I would say is that if you're going to do it, it needs to be a discussion. Brenda, I agree with what you're saying, the end game, because you see, as a lawyer, I have seen so many tragedies. A couple that lived together, got along well, but when one of them died, the outside the family of that person that died just took over, and legally they had the right to do that, and did not respect the non-married person. So that's the downside of it. And so I would simply say that my concern about living together has nothing to do with the morality and the spirituality, but the legality. There should be a living together agreement, and what happens if one dies.
Well, that's interesting.
Say
Because
that again.
what happens if one dies?
Mhm.
Because if you and I know
It happens a lot with
Oh,
celebrities.
I know a lot. I know a situation, and I'm trying to think. Henry, you probably remember it. She lived. It was a girlfriend. You know, they were like separated, and then he never divorced his wife.
Mhm.
So when he died, he was with his girlfriend, whom he had been living with for years. But his wife is one of them that had all the legal rights.
Right.
That's right.
And
There's
that
nothing,
happens more often than not, but than most.
nothing you can do about it if nothing is in writing.
Yeah.
Well,
And
maybe
you know that
maybe that's
happened.
the way he wanted it.
Well, then he was something else. He was more than a notion, because he didn't mean that girlfriend any good if he weren't going to take care of her. He's been with her all those years.
But the girlfriend knew they weren't married.
Oh,
The girlfriend knew that they didn't have any legal attachment.
Right.
So I don't see how you blame him. That's on her too. Unless she was some kind of imbecile. But if she had a
big
brain,
word, big word.
she knew that she was just living with this guy.
Mhm.
She knew that he was married to the other woman.
The repetition,
So
yeah.
it is.
What about the promises?
Go on, Henry, say it again so you can hear.
That's my point. But she still knew that legally,
Mhm. He was still attached to the other one.
yeah, this is where emotionality and practicality meet. And they are two of the world's greatest adversaries. How they feel about one another and what's on paper is a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm. And you know that happened with DMX here recently. Well, last year when he passed away, he had been with a girlfriend that he was with when he passed away. He had been with her for, I think it was 14 years. He had been with the same girl, and she lived in his mansion and everything. But when he passed away, everything, all of his assets, every single thing actually went to his children. And the girlfriend was putting up a real big fuss, and she got a lawyer, and she was trying to go to court, and essentially none of that mattered. And she was pleading to the public and pleading to other celebrities. And I mean, basically, it was one of those things where you just should have known better. Like, you were with him for 14 years. You didn't get any promissory notes. You didn't get anything like that. And now, I mean, can you imagine living in a mansion for 14 years and being well taken care of, and all of a sudden he passes away and you have absolutely nothing? Well, you have nothing. You have no job, no nothing.
We're going to have to talk about that on another show, about when you transition and don't have a will, and what really happens in that. Won't we have to do that, Mr. Williams?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that needs to be another show.
We definitely need to do that, because that's something that we need to deal with. Give us that callback number again, somebody. Johnny, give us that call. You're so proper.
The number is 478-250-1444. Please give us a call.
Mr. Jackson, can you help me out here? I don't know why I got the busted up computer all of a sudden.
Yeah, guys, give us a call and contribute to this conversation.
And we want to thank Ms. Walker, because she's really been on it.
Mm-hmm.
She said, because when I look at it and I'm saying, and I got what's going on with it. Like I said, I brought it out because I'm like, so many people choose to do this. And guess what? When you do that, let's say, there is no common law marriage anymore in the state of Georgia. Let me just say it. There is no common law marriage today in the state of Georgia.
That was abolished in 1997.
Abolished in 1997. So if you go and you living with somebody and he bought a house or she bought a house and your name is not on that house, if I'm not mistaken, there is no type of division, nothing, no law that says how that property is going to be divided. Am I correct, Mr. Williams?
That's correct. That's why I said there should be a living together agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Now let me at least qualify what I said. It was abolished in 1997, but if you've been living together before that, it's grandfathered in.
Okay, we have a phone call. We have caller.
Is the day your birthday?
No, my birthday on March 12th.
Oh, I thought the day was your birthday.
This the coroner on here, Leon Jones. Leon, what do you think about people living together before they get married?
I think they should have never abolished common law. You don't live together that long, you might as well be married.
I agree.
That's interesting.
But see, the problem with that is you live together 35 years, and when you die, the wife or husband comes get everything. The one that been putting you on the bedpan for 20 years gets nothing. And by law, it's real. I tell people all the time, if you're going to separate, get a divorce. Separate, get a divorce.
You better say it. So you run across that a lot then, Leon.
Say again, brother?
I said you run across that a lot then.
I run up just every month. Every month somebody dies, and we say, "Well, we're together, but we're not married." Where's his wife at? He's in Augusta. Well, she'll come in and say, "Okay, I'm taking him back to Augusta." Ain't nothing the girlfriend can do.
Nothing.
Ain't nothing you can do.
Leon is completely right.
If you're gonna separate, get a divorce. If you can make the marriage work, I'm all for it. Getting counseling and all that kind of stuff. But if it's got violence involved in it, like that homicide we worked last week, somebody needs to go. Let me tell you something. While a guy on the phone, I get off. A restraining order ain't nothing. When you get a restraining order, you need a Glock and a camera. The gun classes, Eagle gun range. A restraining order ain't nothing but a piece of paper.
So, and you need bullets as well.
I said that comes in the training class to the Eagle gun range. When you get a restraining order, go to gun classes, get you a good Glock. Now I'm old school, okay. These new guys believe in automatics or women 380. I believe in a 38. You know the old saying, you can't rape a 38.
Yeah.
I'm old. Get you a 5-shot 38 with hollow point when you get that restraining order.
Lord, but you know what, Leon? Can't nobody say it like you say it. You know what? We just love you.
I'm telling the truth. Okay. I believe in truth. I believe in transparency.
Me too.
Mama taught me that. Tell the truth. A restraining order ain't nothing but a piece of paper, brother.
Leon is right.
I believe it too.
Leon just opened the curtain.
She had a restraining order. Well, sometimes people just get mixed up with an idiot. Nobody has a crystal ball. You don't know what that person looked like down the road. Everything is lovey-dovey, Natalias and roses from Lawrence Mayor. Next thing you know, it's Jekyll and Hyde.
You ain't lying about that. And so living together, you think of bringing out. I think that you have clues that they're crazy.
Sometimes you have warnings, but sometimes there are no warnings. Yeah, I tell Sheila all the time, don't love me to death, let me go.
Hey, Leon.
I agree.
Don't love me to death, let me go. Whatever you want, you can have it. You want
Hey,
the house,
Leon.
you can have it.
Leon.
You want the bed, you can have it.
Leon.
I mean, you can have the 401k, the county. You can't have the one in the medical center now. You ain't getting both of them.
Leon. Listen, this is Johnny. I wanted to.
Hey, Johnny.
Hey man, I want to get your number from Brenda when we get off air. I need to call you.
Okay.
Okay, cool beans.
You know what though? And
remember what I said.
Wait a minute. And
yes, sir.
I said, brother.
No,
Brother, remember what I said. When
what?
you get a straight order, you need a Glock and training class.
and bullets.
You know what?
Let me say, my friend is saying that as his personal opinion and not as an elected official.
That's right.
That's right.
Hey, what they say? The opinions are not. The opinions is
right.
Are not necessarily the ownership of this radio. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm protecting my friend. That's just a personal opinion. He's not saying it as a public official.
Hey, Johnny, don't that come under the First Amendment?
Yeah.
You know what though?
The First Amendment is all right until you piss off somebody.
You know what though?
That's right.
And I'm glad you called, because you just said that it happens more often. We're talking, our show is about should you live together with people, and he just brought out one of the biggest issues about long-term marriage or relationship. Does it lead to that? Not necessarily, but what he is saying is that you better have a time limit on that. You better have your business in order, because if you don't make it, if you die, go in the hospital or something like that, then that significant other, whoever you're living with, have no rights.
So the Bible has a higher understanding. So that's why they're saying if you're going to live together, you ought to be married. So you won't have to run into all these problems.
That is the truth.
But you know what, Brenda, you know what? Generally, black people, I say black people, I'll use the African American stuff. I ain't got nobody born in Africa. Everybody born in Georgia. Listen,
Understood.
black people generally don't want to talk about pre-need and wills. Every single day, someone died needs some financial assistance from the county. Okay? Everybody needs a will and a pre-need. It's one thing Macon, Georgia got plenty of funeral homes and Dollar Generals. Okay? But generally, black people don't want to talk about that. We all gonna leave here. Nobody lives forever. You need a will and have your will where you can put your hands on it.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Mr. Williams, you better help your friend out.
Everybody dies. Everybody don't want to talk about a will. Every other month, defects got to cremate somebody because somebody don't have no money. You need to have some kind of funeral compensation. I say it all the time. You need a will.
That's right.
I see more divisiveness when someone dies. I got two people right now trying to get a court order to stop a funeral and a cremation. I told them, hey, that's not going to happen. You need a will. You need to have your funeral arrangements already made. Nobody needs to leave a financial burden on a next of kin to bury somebody. That's wrong.
And the court is not going to want to step in that.
They don't want to step in. Defects only pay $700, Brenda. $700. And everybody's not approved by defects now. Okay, when a funeral home, and let me say this, all funeral homes don't take defect cases. Let me be clear when I say that. When you go to a funeral home and say, I ain't got no money, they say, okay, I'm going to call Tammy and defects. That don't mean Tammy going to approve it. A lot of people not approving defects. So somebody got to either create.
Hello?
Money in a timely fashion.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's.
There's a will, there's a way.
$10,000 will bury anybody in Macon, Georgia. Period.
That's true.
A $10,000 insurance policy will bury anybody. You need some kind of compensation.
Oh, that's high.
My funeral's already paid for. Of course, Sheila said she's gonna cremate me. I don't know why she would do that. And everything's paid for, but I won't know anything about it. I said, why would you want to? I don't know. I said, why would you want to cremate me? My funeral's already paid for. Well, I'm not gonna be wiping lipstick off you in the casket. That's one thing.
and maybe the other thing is she don't want to see putting that much money in the ground.
That's it.
No. Stella and Kayla ain't gonna let Sheila cremate me. That's not gonna happen.
Who?
Yeah. My Charlie and Kayla, my children, they're not gonna let Sheila cremate me.
But you know what though? I'm glad that you brought it out. But now what he did bring out, which was interesting, Linda, you need a will, we got you. One of the things he brought out was what happens when you just living together, and you know, a relationship is bigger than just having the sexual experience. It's everything, and being able to take care of somebody when they transition, and when they sick. You mess around and get sick with somebody, and you're single. Who take care of you? Who go down there and sign the paper?
Exactly. You know, we discussed that. Me, you, and Mr. Hendry answered that guy. We told them the importance of having a will.
That's right. And neither one has called me yet, Leon.
And Henry was free.
Exactly.
Free, and they didn't even call him.
Get your house in order. If people die, we've had 185 coroner cases since January 1st. It's not COVID. People just dying of natural causes of heart attacks, seizures, cancer. Get your house in order.
185.
180 people have died. 183 coroner cases since January 1st. That's an average of 5 per day.
Wow.
And
Okay?
That's startling.
How many of those are suicide, Leon?
5.
And how many suicides last year?
We had 35 last year.
For the entire year. And it's been 5 and we just in the 3rd month.
2nd month. We're still in February.
That's true.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Well, I'm
All right. Well, thank you for calling. Goodness.
You know what, Leon? You need to call more often, my friend. My birthday, March the 12th.
March 12th. Okay.
Right.
It's very important. There are some warnings of domestic abuse. There are not warnings. There are some warnings of suicide. You got people take their lives. You never know they had problems. Now, Dr. Figueroa at Coliseum, he says everybody that take their lives is mentally unstable. I absolutely disagree with that gentleman. I done seen over 10,000 dead bodies. I bet you Dr. Figueroa hasn't seen that many. Everybody that take their lives is not mentally unstable. I think sometimes they're back in the corner. They have nobody. They think they have nobody to talk to. There's people out there to talk to. River's Edge got a suicide hotline and everything else. Look at that veteran the other night. That open fire law enforcement the other night on 75. When I talked with his sister, they said he had early stages of dementia. He'd been treated for paranoia. You got to get some help.
Well, thank you, Leon, for calling in. We're gonna have Andrea Cook to come back on from Making Mental Health Matters and have her come on and talk a little bit more about suicide. We didn't know that we had 5. We need to have her have a conversation on that.
Let me tell you something else while ago. They got a guy that's doing a study on suicide. He's a student at Fort Valley State. I gave him some stats. I gave him some stats on suicide. Suicide is up 51% in the Black community in the last 5 years. But I can tell you this right here. Y'all sitting down?
Yeah.
It ain't Black females.
It's Black males.
That's right. It ain't Black females.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Y'all got good genes. Y'all are built for pain. I mean, we get a toenail, we hurt. Hey, y'all have a baby without epidural and go back to work 2 days later.
That's right. He said it. He said it. We built.
Y'all are built for pain. Y'all have
right. All right, you too now. Thank you.
That's a great call, Leon.
Wow.
That's right. He said it. We women are built for it tough.
I'm
we're resilient.
I'm messed up with what he's talking about with just people living together, not having business. And see, Henry, you talked about having some sort of paper or whatever in some sort of
if nothing else, you could just have an agreement in writing that says that upon the death of either of us, because if single people do wills because they're living together, the family gonna challenge it. But if you put it in proper order, you don't have to worry about that. But the least you could have is a written agreement that says, upon the death of either one of us, all the house content and the vehicles will go to the survivor.
And
how long do you think that you should be living together before you get something like that in writing? Do you think that should be as soon as you guys move in, or after you've been together a year or two? Like, what do you think?
I would say within 90 days.
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
So that's 3 months. Within 90 days of moving in, you guys should have some type of will between the two of you.
That's correct, because by that time you would have accumulated your stuff together. You would be making plans for this, that, and the other. It's a 3-month period.
And not only that, now, Johnny, you said something interesting when you said, "Now God's way." Now, the legal way would be to get married.
The more that I listen to everything said during this show, lends me to think that God has a higher understanding,
Well,
because everything that I've heard, all of it will be eliminated if the two people who were living together were married.
that is true. A lot of it would be. That's
It's
true. Now,
But I have a question. Even if we're we're married, right? And legally, say for instance, you have a will, right? And your will says that when you pass away, everything goes to Carl Jr. But you're married to Henry. So what do you do then when you're married and
that's
you
a Henry,
also have a will?
That's a Henry question.
What happens there, Henry, if there's a will and you're married to Brenda legally, but Brenda has a will, and the will says that everything that I own, all of my assets, my bank account, everything, I leave to my son Carl. Who has the upper hand, or who would that? How would the courts rule in that particular situation?
If she made that will prior to the marriage to me, then that voids the will automatically by law. But if she did that after we got married, then it's a valid will. Now, if you ask me what's my options in light of that, I would simply say I could trounce the will by applying for a year's support.
Or as soon as she dies, go straight to the bank, get all of her money out before Carl Jr. gets wind of it.
But you know what though? Now, Johnny, you made an interesting point. Linda says that she agrees with you. She said because basically you're saying that if you get married, then you don't have to deal with all the legalities and things of that nature.
I think you
higher
still do.
understanding.
But you know what though? It is a higher understanding. But first of all, is it a lack of faith?
Anthony.
Is it a lack? Is it a lack of faith to go into a marriage, or I'm going into a relationship thinking it's not going to work? And so you decide, well, I'm going to live together to see if it works. Do you think that's a lack of faith?
A lot of times I think people would rather live together because one has money and the other one doesn't, and they don't want to give up their money.
You think it's
What
all
do you
about
mean?
money?
Let me pose to you a very practical question. If it's not important to know what the marriage is going to be like, then why do we test drive cars before we buy them?
Well,
go buy the car. And how we care more about cars than we do about each other.
I'm with you on that.
How do we compare a car?
I need to test drive this relationship.
No, but others would say, why would we compare a car to a human being? A car doesn't have any feelings. A car doesn't cry. A car can't hurt if you hit it with a hammer.
Which is more of the reason why you should test out the relationship before you say I live with the person, before you say I do. That's even more, because it's not a physical car. It's a human being that has human emotions tied to it. So it would make more sense to coincide or to live with your significant other.
I'm going to say
I disagree totally.
I'm glad that I'm hearing you. But I also think too, while we're talking about long term, I'm going to throw in because we're getting close to the end, these weekends, because a lot of people may not get married, or like live together, but y'all go out for the weekend. You spend the weekend with them. Is it any different?
Yeah, because the weekend is just the weekend. You go back to your home.
I'm just asking you, John, is it different when you go spend the weekend with them?
Yeah, that's a major difference.
Or whomever. I mean, hypothetically. It's
like if you go out of town for the weekend with your boo and y'all stay Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you go back home. That's completely different than actually coinciding and saying we're going to put our bills together. We're going to put our whole life together. Going together on the weekend ain't
there is a difference.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. Johnny, I'm waiting.
No, there is a difference in going to Vegas for the weekend or having the lease or the bills that come in the mailbox with my name on them, and you're sharing these bills with me.
But the biblical way, and I agree, the biblical way is what we strive to do. We strive to be better. We strive to do all those. I'm just saying.
But what is the biblical way? The biblical
they want
way
us to be married. Now that's an interesting question is, how does the Bible, and so for the people out there, we have some people who understand it. How does the Bible define the marriage ceremony?
Well, I think that some of the people get it confused with being a religious, with a religious thing, when the Bible is about spirituality.
Oh, we have a phone caller.
The Bible is not about a religion, but people equate marriage with a religious tradition.
Hello, caller.
Hi.
Hi.
Tina.
Hey, Tina.
Hi. Hi. I just wanted to make a comment on what was just stated about living together before you get married.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on the context. I heard someone say maybe if it's just a weekend trip, but I look at it this way: if I'm at your house 3 days out of the week and you're at mine 4, we both still have a separate residence. Although we don't share anything financially and write it on paper, we are still shacking up because we are still seeing each other and living with each other 7 days out of the week. I may be at yours half the time and you're at mine. But I think it's two different things as far as determining what is sharing and what is not. If you're saying just going out on the weekend, okay. But if Monday through Wednesday, I sleep at your house, Thursday through Sunday, you sleep at mine.
Yeah, but see, if you should meet death, then your boyfriend's family is not going to come to your apartment or house and demand things from your house because you two guys are not living together.
Right, you're not coinciding.
No, that was speaking in reference to if you're married or if you're sharing assets. You may not be sharing assets, but you're still living together.
I got what she's saying. She's saying living together. Even if you have separate households, like Henry and I.
You're just not legally married.
You
still have separate residences.
Now,
you're still at each other's home 7 days out of the week.
Because Henry and I had that situation, Tina, we had that because Henry had his house down in Albany. I had my house in Macon, but when he wasn't at his house, I was, he was with me. And as much as I could, I was down in Albany with him.
But we were talking about that if these two people were not married and living together, then if one of them died, then the other, they were together for 10 years, then one died, then here comes the family member going to put them out because they don't have any legal.
They have a single resident, but she's also saying.
I think that too goes back, Johnny, to you as the individual. Why would you stay with someone 10 years and not have your affairs in order?
If you got your place and I got my place for 10 years.
But you know what though, Tina?
That's different from living
person
together.
stays with somebody for 10 years without
A
making
lot
a
of people.
commitment.
A lot of people.
And that's why. Well,
and Tina,
can't
those
say that
people
on
who
the
stay
air.
with somebody for 10 years without a commitment, that's an issue. Am I correct?
That's an issue for me because I feel like this. Make your intentions known because most people, when they go into relationships, if you're serious, you're going to make it known, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is my goal. If you can't meet that goal, we go our separate ways. What happens is sometimes women and maybe men, I feel like they get stuck and they change their mind and they say, well, okay, maybe I've been a little too pushy. Maybe let me back off. Because if I push them, then they may go somewhere else. I feel like this. If it takes you pushing them and they go somewhere else, they should have already been somewhere else. Don't subject yourself to somebody else's standards that don't meet yours. You got to meet someone that meets you where you are. And if you okay being with somebody 10 years, 20 years, not being married, then you have nothing to say if that person dies and you didn't do what you should have done.
How long have you been married, Tina?
I'm divorced now.
And see, and you and I got that because what she's saying is something we'll talk about a little bit later on. Thank you, Tina, for calling.
Thank you.
Yeah, we enjoyed your call.
She's on it though, because she's talking about intentions and stuff, which is what I said. If you're gonna live with somebody, you ought to have an end game. You all not just
not only an end game, Brenda. Excuse me for interrupting, but not only an end game, but you got to have measuring devices along the way. By the way, whether you live together or not, in a relationship, you got to have milestones. If you don't know after 6 months
Come
whether or
on.
not you're gonna marry that person, that's already a red flag. I don't say necessarily break it off, but you better start paying closer attention.
Can I ask you, Henry? Can I ask you though, is that relative with age? Like if you're 22 and both of you guys are 23, 22, is 6 months the barometer in which you should decide whether you should marry somebody?
No, I'm saying, but
Yes,
you ought to know what.
yes, it is. But but you ought to know within that period of time is what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying, but
now I will agree that the older you are, the less time you have for that. But it should, the age matter in terms of how long do you wait. If I had a daughter and she was living with a guy for 5 years, I'm looking at them with a jaundiced eye.
Now, I got you on that, but I'm saying you said 6 months should be enough time, and I'm saying, but what if you're 23 and 22? You think 6 months?
Somebody old.
So that's what I'm trying to qualify.
That's what he was asking. Yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to qualify.
Right. He's saying if you like our age, 65, we 60. When I met Henry, we married. We ain't mess around with it because we were old.
Henry's not old.
Henry old.
Henry's older.
Henry old. Hey, baby,
y'all both old.
Henry, you have the ER on your name. I've seen some old people. You're not one of those.
But all I'm saying,
I appreciate you, Johnny.
But all I'm saying is that it does make a difference. So when you reach a certain age, you ought to know. Put it like this: within 6 months, whether or not.
Now I got you when you're certain of a certain age.
Yeah, but like Jimmy's them age, no, ain't no way I'm gonna let him. Not let him, but if he's
no, you said it right the first time. You said it right first time.
Ain't no let him.
Well, I mean that's real. Probably, but I can tell you at 23, if he dates somebody for 6 months,
we have a caller.
Ain't that ain't gonna happen.
Hello, caller.
Hello. I just wanted to sit there and chime in on what y'all talking about because I'm on my third marriage and the first two was wrong and the first one got me.
What do you mean got you?
Okay, we got to move quickly because we got just a few minutes.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, she had some certain things that were in line to where whenever we got divorced, and I was owed to do, I had to do some things to get out legally in order to fulfill obligations, obviously, that we had together. But we first started dating, and we lived together. Wrong answer. Married her because I thought, okay, I'm trying to do this right. Second one, I tried to do it right, went to Iraq and came back and she had already cheated on me. It was over with. But this last one that I got now, I said, look, let's just court for a year. We want to do it right. We're not going to try to sit there and entice ourselves together. I'm big on what y'all said about the Bible. It's better to marry than to burn. I started looking at her like, yeah, I want to get with you like physically. So, but we set our own parameters and was able to do it according to the way that we thought was right.
You got to call us back on Monday.
Oh yeah, please, because this was an awesome. We want your input, callers. We so appreciate. We had a good show today, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, and everybody that made their comments today, that was watching live.
Yeah, we thank you all for the comments.
Thank you so much.
And we all
enjoyed it so very much.
Thank you.
And thank you so much,
Hen.
Mr. Williams. I appreciate you.
Yeah, the sponsor of this show. We thank Henry Williams so much.
Yes, don't leave her.
I would never leave him.
It's a powerful show.
Thank you,
sir. It's my honor to sponsor. I love watching y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank
All
you
right,
so
we
much.
love you guys. Tune in next Monday, 5:30. We may be continuing this conversation. If not, just tune in. We always got something good to talk about.
And I'm going to do a better job of making sure y'all know what we're talking about.
And if anybody got a divorce as a result of this show, please call us next week.
Yes.
And thank you to our coroner, Leon Jones. Thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate you. I'm excited. This was we had a good time.
Hey,
today.
I think a bunch of people are going to go out and get wheels.
They can call Henry. He'll do it.
Which
That's
they
what I'm saying.
should.
I think they're gonna get wheels, and they're gonna go start protecting their property, and they're gonna. My name better be on it, and all
Thank
that
you,
kind of
Linda.
stuff.
Thank you.
Listen to All of a Sudden,
Thank
join
you.
them every Monday evening from 5:30 to 6:30. All of a Sudden with your host, Brenda Sutton. That's every Monday. We'll see you there.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300 EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.